and good afternoon. Welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We are not going to be doing a full mission, but we are going to be planning out our moon mission. So we are just going to be pulling up the JNSQ Kerbal Space Program Delta V map and seeing what we need to do, because it is very important to know how much fuel you need. And I will be throwing this up on the screen in just a second. Okay, so in order to get to the moon, we have to ascend from Kerbin. So that's about 5,000 meters per second. And then we need to transfer to the moon, which, as previously stated, is approximately 1,500 meters per second, but it is in totality, it is 1,545 meters per second. In order to capture, it is 375 meters per second. And then ascent and descent is 880 meters per second. So we need to build a vehicle that can go to the moon for that amount of delta V, and land and ascend and land and ascend. Like I said, I want to do at least 2 biome hops, but maybe more. So we can see what we can do. I'm doing this real time, so we're just gonna wait for the loading screen. I'll just jump it over. Okay, here we are in the vehicle assembly building. So let's start by building our lander. So we can start with the Lunar Excursion Module, the MEM, which is from the Making History DLC, I believe. It's included with the parts for the Saturn V, but unfortunately we haven't unlocked those yet, so we will just have to make do with what we got. So of course we are going to be grabbing a Clampetron Jr. We can grab a Probodoba 9 Octo. Throw that on top. And then we can... let's see what we got. Okay, cool. So we're just going to throw this kind of... not like in this, but we're going to want to be mounting it to the inner mounting point, so it can just like live inside there, basically, and not be a huge issue. So we can throw some batteries on there. We can put a solar panel on the rear for our power generation. Right, okay, and then we can grab one of these fuel tanks, I believe. Change that to white because it looks a little bit better. And then one of these fuel tanks, these small fuel tanks, button there, meant to make it white. And then we can grab our Terrier liquid fuel engine and just make that compact just because it looks good. So KSP is saying we have about 807 meters per second. That is not enough, basically. We cannot do a full landing and return on that amount of fuel. This is not going to happen. So what we need to do is we need to find more fuel. You know what I should have gotten? I should have gotten the smallest fuel tank. I don't remember the size of it, but it's okay. We are going to grab the FLT 100 fuel tank, the smallest 1.25 meter fuel tank, and just clip it on the side. Oh, and rotate it again so it looks nice. Just kind of adjust it just so it looks fine. And now we have 979 meters per second. But I believe the way KSP calculates delta V is the lowest stage is going to be in atmosphere, I believe. So don't quote me on that, but I believe that's how it works. So this is using the surface level ISP. See, this is a vacuum optimized engine, so it's going to have a relatively high specific impulse of 345, but that is for vacuum. At sea level, it's 85. So that is a lot less efficient. You can think of ISP basically as your fuel economy, but it's used in the rocket equation delta V equals ISP times G times the natural logarithm of the ratio of dry mass to wet mass. So basically, the higher your ISP, the more delta V you're going to get if you keep everything else constant. Ooh. Hang on, we'll just undo that. So, okay, so we can grab a decoupler. We're going to grab a bearing, and we're going to build our fairing out. It's not going to look great, but oh well, it's what we got. Okay, so with that upper stage done, we can grab another fuel tank, a couple more fuel tanks, and then we are going to set this upper stage to liquid hydrogen. So being a cryogenic rocket, we can get a higher ISP for lower mass as well. The only thing is with the cryogenic mod is that you will have fuel boil off, and that is when heat enters the fuel. Because it's a cryogenic fuel, it's liquid hydrogen. Hydrogen naturally wants to be in a gaseous state. I don't exactly remember the boiling point. Actually, here, let me look that up. Okay, so the boiling point of hydrogen is negative 423.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it gets above that, it wants to become a gas. So either you can spend electricity, 0.4 EC per second on this tank, and then 0.2 on this tank in order to keep it chilled, or you just deal with a little bit of fuel loss. I don't think it's going to be significant for this mission, so what we can do is we can place that on there, and it's saying we have 429 meters, or no, 249 meters per second delta V, but again, I believe that's with 120 ISP instead of the 465 that we would be getting at vacuum. So we can go here, enable our decoupler shroud, and that is bugging. Hang on. Increase the height just so it looks good. There you go. Perfect. And then we can grab an adapter. And this is probably going to be the same as the other ones, but we just have bigger fuel tanks this time. So grab one of those, one of the big fuel tanks, the Jumbo Max, or the Rocco Max Jumbo 64, the 2.5 meter tanks, and then we can grab the brand new mainsail that we unlocked last time. Throw a cover on that because it looks nice. This is from the restock mod, I believe. And then we can grab some solid rocket boosters. Let's see, what do we want? We want the kickback. Grab our kickback solid rocket motor. And then we are going to be doing, again, something very similar to the Delta II that carried the rovers to Mars. So we'll have 2 pairs like that paired together, and then we can grab 1 more pair, and then we'll have to flip this. So this can go here, create a new stage, and bring this one up here. And then we'll move our mainsail down to the first stage. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be updating, so we're just going to have to yellow it, but I think it'll be okay. Oh yeah, if you can see right here, it's showing 120 seconds for your ISP and 85 seconds for up here. So it's gonna be approximately, if we go back to the stats here, it's gonna be, and lock it here, it's going to be approximately about 4 times bigger for that on our lander stage, which should be approximately 4,000-ish meters a second. And then for our insertion stage, that is going to be about, again, 4 times bigger, so about 800 meters per second. So if we go back to our Delta V map, we can multiply 966 by approximately 4-ish, which will be 4,000. And then the insertion stage is going to be also by 4, which will be about 1,000. So that should be plenty. That should be plenty for this lander craft. But there is actually a few more things we have to account for, because I just realized I forgot about it. We have power and we have batteries. Normally that would be good enough, but this is Kerbalism, so we have to deal with radiation and food and water and the like. So we are going to put up some shielding for that. That will reduce the effects of radiation on our Kerbals. And then we want to have this in orbit for a few... Oh, okay. Hang on. I don't know why it's doing this. Kerbal Space Program is not having a fantastic time today. We're getting slowdowns, glitches, really long loading screens. Not sure why, but we'll just roll with it. So we need some food. We need some food, we need some water. We have 16, I put 2 of these small life support boxes in supplies mode, which includes food and water. So we have 16 days, 3 hours of food, and then we have 12 days, 11 hours of water. Is that gonna be enough? Yeah, so like I said last part, this whole thing is going to go up by itself, and then it will rendezvous with our Kerbals up in lunar orbit. So I believe that 12 days is going to be long enough to complete our missions. If this were the transfer craft, the command pod, then I would say that that is not enough, actually, as it were. So we will need some gas though, so we can grab some gas tanks. Set that to 5-4 radial, and actually probably have 5-2 radial for that. So that is our oxygen, and then we'll make a second tank for nitrogen, and that helps repressurize the vessel when they go on EVA and come out and everything. Because of course you're going to be losing some oxygen and nitrogen as you open your hatch and go out on EVA. So we have 25 days worth of oxygen, and then we have 12 years worth of nitrogen. But again, we will have to account for losses when we go on EVA, I believe. So this is our moon lander. So again, first stage, 2 pairs will ignite, they will flame out, then our last pair will ignite and flame out. We'll drop those. We go cryogenic for our second stage. We go traditional propellant for our upper stage, land, go to another biome, and then take off, reorbit, dock with the command pod, transfer our Kerbals, and come back. So we can say this is our moon lander and just save that. We are going to borrow this rocket, so we'll just get rid of the upper stage. We can grab our Mark II command pod again from the Making History expansion pack, I believe. So what do we need? We need shielding. We need a heat shield for re-entry. We need our flight control part to make it look right. We need a docking port. We need a parachute, or a couple parachutes, actually. Oh, a couple parachutes. We need a decoupler. No, not that one. We need decoupler. And then we can grab that. We can change this to, we'll leave it as normal chemical, I think, just so we don't have to deal with losses. Put a solar panel in there, grab our Terrier, grab our decoupler shroud on, and then we can take this and plop that on there. And that looks about right? That looks fine to me. There we go. So this is our moon orbiter. And then we need to get some life support. We're gonna grab this big old box here. Maybe some smaller boxes like that. 30 days food, 23 days water. We'll grab a couple more. Rotate that. Set that to just water. So now we have 60 days of water. 2 days oxygen. That's not long enough. We can put a oxygen tank on there. So now we have 25 days oxygen. And then we can grab a nitrogen tank for 24 years of nitrogen. So 25 days oxygen, 60 days water, 30 days food. That should be just about right. And then we save this, and then I just forgot to add some scientific equipment to our moon lander. So we'll grab that once more. Zoom in a bit. Grab your standard scientific equipment, your barometer, your thermometer, then your Geiger counter from Kerbalism, Kerbal Dust Experiment, your mystery goo, your Radial Science Junior. If you can fit it. I don't remember quite what this is from. Actually, now we'll just leave that this time. We can come back for it later. And that's all we have for today. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you loved it, make sure to smash that subscribe button, and I will see you